Hello everybody, Flik here, and welcome to the 4th Let's Chat. And this will be the last one I do before Christmas. In fact, this will be posted on the... I check my calendar as per usual. This will be posted on the 23rd. Do you know what I'm doing on the 23rd, the day before Christmas Eve? I am going to the dentist. That is right, I'm going to go get a tiny little filling done on the day before Christmas Eve. Why? Well, one, it's quiet at this time of year, so they, quite frankly, want the business. And two, it doesn't really matter to me that it's Christmas. I alluded to this in the last one, but Christmas is not for me. In fact, I hate it, quite frankly. I was going to go into detail about why, but then I kind of thought I don't really want to bring down anyone's Christmas spirit. If you get into this holiday, if you are dead set on celebrating Christmas, either because you're just, you've got childlike wonder, or maybe you have kids of your own and, you get into the spirit of it for them, I'm fine with that. I don't want to... My phone is ringing. I don't believe it, my phone is ringing. I will be right back. Right, very sorry about that. That was my mother phoning me and I had to take it. That did actually give me something else to talk about though, but I'll finish the little blurb on Christmas as I was saying. I don't want to bring anyone else down. Not that I'm down, it's just that I'm kind of indifferent to it. I don't want people to think that I get sad this time of year, I just don't really care about it. I mean, Christmas to me is an excuse to burn more money by having lots of lights on and your Christmas tree and whatnot, and you're not even really getting into gift giving. It's more like you're bartering your way into a trade. Here's what I hope I get, so I'm going to give you something of equal value. It means nothing to me. So, I won't dwell on it. Let's move on. If you have a good Christmas, that's fine. Feel free. I have absolutely no problems with you enjoying this time of year. Same with New Year, really. It doesn't really mean anything to me, although it is an excuse to go get drunk. Not that I drink, but some people do that, so whatever. I see New Year as a pain in the ass actually, because all the bloody fireworks terrify Maya, so she's off it. She's usually cowering at my feet or under my desk or trying to crawl under where I keep all my console wires, which drives me up the wall because if she ever gets caught on one of those wires, she's going to possibly hurt herself and also destroy hundreds of pounds worth of equipment. And so, the little sidetrack story now that I had that phone call. I was looking for a game to buy myself for Christmas because I felt like it, and I was looking at a couple of 3DS games. I was looking at, is it Bravely or Bravery Default? I think it's a really stupid title, so I'll go with Bravely Default. The one that's like a Final Fantasy game, but it's not called a Final Fantasy game. It's done pretty well in reviews. And I was also interested in the new Zelda, the spiritual successor to Link to the Past or whatever. Both on 3DS. I haven't played anything brand new on my 3DS since Project X Zone and Fire Emblem Awakening, and Phoenix Wright was actually just a couple of months ago, so Phoenix Wright was the most recent thing. Either way, I was interested in having something else to play on my 3DS, especially over the Christmas season if I have to go visit family and I'm away from my consoles and PC, etc. So, I looked on a website I use to buy games usually, and the average price of both those games was about $31.99, or well, let's just say 32, so I don't need to keep on doing the pennies. That's in British pounds for anyone in America listening, don't get shocked by the price. And I knew when I asked my mother who was going into the nearby city, when I asked her to look for those for me, because there's no shops that sell that kind of stuff in my tiny little village, none at all. I knew that they might be up to £5 more expensive because that's kind of like the retailer premium when you buy it in a store rather than buying online, and I knew that going in, so that was fine with me. However, that phone call I just got there was to tell me that they were £8 more or £7 more in the shop, which is ridiculous. I can only imagine that it's price hiking because it's Christmas and people just spend anything at Christmas. They don't mind spending too much. But no, not me. She told me that and I instantly said, buy neither of them, just leave. And she said, yeah, that's what I thought, and that was the end of the call. She just hung up after that. So, yeah, I understand why things in a shop have to be slightly more expensive than the online comparison, although keep in mind this is from the same bloody company. Yeah, but not £7 more. That is ridiculous. I mean, that's like, what, $12 more if you want to translate it into dollars. I think, roughly. I never get those right when I do it. I really should stop doing that. And I do still have a cold, by the way, so this will be extra fun when I go to the dentist in a couple of days. I'm recording this a couple of days in advance because I knew I was going to the dentist when this would be uploading. And actually, on the same kind of topic, earlier today I was also looking into the price that Nintendo was asking for Super Mario 3D Land. Isn't that the same name as the one that was on 3DS? Either way, it's the one on the Wii U where they all are cats for no good bloody reason. I fancy playing that because I do like my Mario games, even if every single one is identical to the last. Yeah, I don't mind that in certain genres. Mega Man games would be another example of that. So I looked into that and they're wanting £43 for it. That's about $70 or, you know, that kind of area. That is fucking ridiculous. I apologise for swearing, but wow. I just couldn't. They're trying to charge the same overinflated RRP that Sony and Microsoft are trying to get for proper next-gen games, which is also ridiculous in that case. But for a Wii U game, a game that's last generation, hell no! Nintendo is trying to milk their core franchises because A, they know it's the only ones that bloody sell on their console, and B, they are absolutely desperate for money that they'll get it wherever they want. If you told Nintendo you would give them £100 for them to drop down to their knees and suck you off in an alley, they would do it, and they are, I hate them so very much. And I did kind of want to play the Nintendo game, but you know what I'll do now? I'll pick it up second hand for about half that. Fuck them, basically. If you try and charge me too much for something, I will find a way to get it for pittance. It's kind of the same way, not kind of, it's not exactly the same, but it's similar to my problem I had with Gone Home, which did make it into the original cut of my top 5 best and worst video that I did recently, because there was a section at the end of each, like the best list and then the worst list, where I did an honourable and a dishonourable mention for indie games. The dishonourable mention was Gone Home. I don't want to really go into detail why. I could do that in the future if enough people are curious. Yeah, but they were cut for size. It turns out if a video goes above 4 gig in size in Vegas, it crashes and refuses to render past that point, so I had to cut stuff out. I also had to cut some of my explanations for games being in there short too as a result, sadly. But such is the way. So I only had one other thing to talk about, really. And I got I technically only started with one thing. It was the Christmas thing, but then I got sidetracked with the pricing of games. It's always a contentious issue. I've got one little last thing to dwell on, and it's in relation to YouTube again. And I'm sorry for always using these as an excuse to bitch about YouTube, but it's actually not necessarily bitching this time. It's more I did a little experiment with a friend of mine in regards to YouTube. Because I'm curious, because the content ID system appears to be just as bad as it always was, and Google seems to think that there's absolutely nothing wrong with it and the fault is with us as content creators, there's not any chance that they're going to change it. So my theory is the horrible monetization system that we who have signed up with networks hope to be able to avoid forever and are now getting subjected to again in January is probably just as bad as it always was, like my experience with it back before I got with a proper network. And I imagine it will be like that in the future. So I decided to do a little test with a friend of mine. They have an unpartnered channel, very tiny, very small, you've never heard of it, it doesn't matter. They only do vlogs, right? So vlogs are basically kind of like what you're listening to now, except they stick their picture over. So you'll see them talking at the camera. You know, everybody does that kind of thing. I do it as well if I had a face for that, but I do not. So, vlog type stuff, right? They're in the room, their webcam, they film it, etc, etc, etc. So, I asked them to do a little bit of an experiment. I asked them to do one where they were not showing their face. They just did a blank screen like I did, and submit that for monetization. As expected, went through fine. And then I asked them to do another one where they showed their room without them, and then also added YouTube's free library of music, because I've actually used some of that, not in a video that's uploaded yet, but I was curious if that was as safe as YouTube implied it was. And the video was refused, the first attempt at monetization. And the only thing that was different was that the person's face wasn't in shot, and the music that was on the video was from YouTube's free library. Now, this monetization review is done by a person, and that's what I've alluded to in the past about why it's such a piss poor system, because the person who's doing the check about whether or not you should be able to monetize this particular video is going to sometimes be lazy, or sometimes under pressure to do too many videos. I mean, I think there's some ridiculous stat like 24 hours worth of content goes up to YouTube every minute. So you can understand why people might be stressed or just very quickly clicking through. And maybe they'll sometimes get bored and just go on a deny spree, or maybe they'll sometimes go on an accept spree. And that's why sometimes you see videos that are monetized that really shouldn't be, you know, like, I don't know, like every cutscene from a game with nothing added to it at all. That should not be monetizable, but sometimes it gets through this system because of human error. And I know you might be thinking, well, just do automate then, but this is a system that can't be automated. And also Maya agrees with me. Yeah, so this test was weird. They found some fault with this video that didn't show the person, and I guess because if the person who must check this video is very quickly pressing on it to get the gist of what the video is quickly. And I suppose they might also compare it to their content system, which is handled automatically. So assuming you get a tick in the this doesn't match any content IDs, that's fine on that that regard. They then have to just look at it and decide whether or not you can monetize for the other reasons. Basically, as long as you're not infringing anyone's copyright. Now, what copyright would that be infringing? Is there a poster in the background with some brand name on it? Is that in copyright infringement? I don't know. Is that enough? Or is it that the music was used, but the music is apparently free to use? Now let me just check. I was having a conversation before I started. You might hear my mouse clicking. Apologies. I just want to see if the matter has been resolved. I told them to message me if it had, but I put myself on busy. Has it resolved itself? Nope. Apparently it is still pending. So if you don't know, if you fail the first attempt at monetizing a video, YouTube might ask you for more details. So the message said something like, I'm paraphrasing because I didn't see it. We need more information. You need to prove that you have the commercial rights to this content. You need to prove you have the commercial rights to you talking at a camera or pointing a camera at a table and talking. Is ridiculous. Either way, it's been resubmitted with additional information as politely and sternly as possible, saying, this is my voice, I own the copyright to that. This is my camera, I own the copyright to that. This is my room, I own the copyright to that. The music, I don't, but it's apparently free because it's from your library that says it's royalty free, so it better not be because of that. The matter is ongoing. I did kind of want to have a resolution for that. Oh, actually, that reminds me, from the last one, I still have that copyright notice that I wanted to be resolved that wasn't. Let me see if it's still there. This is really weird because a few days ago I went into my copyright notices to check the progress, and the match was there, but my dispute had vanished. It hadn't been refuted and it hadn't been accepted. It just vanished because you can tell, because I went to dispute and it was as if I hadn't done it before. So I guess it's gone back down to the bottom of the pile, so now it's back to they have until the 16th of January to accept or deny my claim that what I did with it is fair use. Now, the content ID system come these changes is not the worst part, because if your video is denied at the monetization stage, it doesn't matter whether or not it gets content ID'd because you're already dead in the water. So that's why there's such a massive problem with this monetization system, because the person who's checking it just might not do their job, or they might not understand their job, or they might be having a bad day, or they might be having a good day. You're at the whim of someone you can't see who may not necessarily have your best interests in mind, and that is what is so bloody scary about this horrible system that so many people joined multi-channel networks to avoid. And that's terrible, and I am very nervous about what's going to happen in January. I mean, what did I get for Christmas? I got a dentist appointment 2 days before it, and a potential hit to my livelihood come January. Isn't that lovely? And once again, I accidentally ended one of these on a sour note. I do apologise. I tried to keep it upbeat. I thought I'll start with a good thing, saying, I may not like Christmas, but I don't want you to not like Christmas. You can if you want. Well, whoops, I guess, is what we're going to go with there. So I will just wrap up here. I'll do one last little plug about my Steam group, the Flik's Gaming Stuff Steam group. It's linked in the description of every one of my videos. Please feel free to join. We are doing group chats there every Saturday. Maybe every Saturday. Saturday the 28th, people may be too busy, with New Year preparations and getting drunk and post-Christmas hangovers. On the subject of that, by the way, as I say, because I'm not really interested in celebrating Christmas or in New Year, my content will not be inhibited by it. I'll still be doing a video a day, assuming my uploads is fine, because when there's more people at home, upload speeds in this area go to hell even worse than usual. So if you're stuck at home with the family, sitting on the couch, stuffed to your face with too much turkey, can't be arsed moving, and you've got a smartphone next to you, if you look for my channel, you will see a new video to watch at the usual time every evening, which is around about 9 PM in the UK, sometimes 7 PM to match up with the group chats. But I don't know how that compares to other time zones, but there you go. I've just pulled back the veil. I upload at 9 PM on every evening, in the UK time anyway. So, thank you for watching. It's muscle memory now. That's how I begin the outro to every normal video. Thank you for listening to this Let's Chat. I do these every Monday. Every Monday at lunchtime these go live. And I hope you'll stick around and listen to me ramble. I guess my next one will cover the Christmas day itself. If you have any suggestions for other things for me to talk about, do share them as well in the comments. Anyway, thank you for sticking around this long. If you did, any comments or thumbs up is appreciated as always. Have a good New Year. Have a reasonable Christmas, etc, etc, etc. I'll actually probably do another one before New Year, so that was a bit silly. I'm editing myself as I speak. Ta-ta for now, everybody.